Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. As always, I'm Ari here with Korea. We'll get right into our recaps. We'll bring out the brooms for Korea. A nice 3-0 day on Tuesday. Pretty much all of them won pretty easily. Clemson outright. Ole Miss won by a lot, but Kentucky soared over. So really good reads from you, Korea. What were your takeaways from these three winners from Tuesday?
Yeah, takeaways. I'm respectfully that guy. But in all seriousness, look, Ole Miss. I said Chris Beard. I think this Ole Miss program is going to be very sneaky in the SEC this year. We talk about how Chris Beard has kind of rejuvenated programs, and Texas Tech, they became one of the better defensive teams. Texas, obviously, national contender before they let him go, and now Ole Miss. They beat a decent NC State team. I said they were going to be the better team defensively. They only held in 52 points, beat them by 20. Like I said, the Miami-Kentucky game, that was a little bit of a sweat, but that did soar over 165 near the end. Kentucky, with a lot of help toward that over, obviously. Miami pretty much getting blown out on the road, but the over did hit. I knew Kentucky was going to show up. I thought Miami was going to show up, but their offense just could not hit a basket. So, but the over still hit. So I'm still satisfied with that. And then Clemson, look, they said, we don't need the points. We'll just win outright. And look at that. I said they're going to hold Alabama's team which is a very, very offensive team. And that is exactly what happened last night. Alabama got tested against a really good defense, and they lost because they couldn't shoot the ball, and their defense couldn't match what their offense, is supposed to do. So 3-0 day. Like I said, I did parlay these. So look at that. Nice 3-0 day. Extra money on that. Well, so nice day yesterday. Nice going 3-0. Also, I did have my Champions League parlay 3 of 4 once again. That was our only loser. Man City only winning by 1, not 2. So we're gonna come back with that. I have today's parlay already posted on Twitter, so we'll have that a little bit later. But finalizing my recap here, 3-0 day. I am very satisfied with that, Ari. I mean, Ole Miss taking care of business at home against NC State, Miami, Kentucky that soared over, and then Clemson covered. They don't even need the points, 1 by 8 on the road. I will gladly take that. Ari, how'd you do yesterday?
Yeah, so like we were talking about, my only official play was Syracuse, who won easily as well. I also mentioned the Bucks and Mavericks, who both covered, but they weren't like official plays because of the injury report uncertainty and all that. But those are leans that both won. Syracuse cruised as well. It was kind of close. It was kind of close early in the first half, only up by 5.5 over LSU. Second half, they cruised, won by 18 in the second half, and beat LSU by 23 at home. I talked about it being the first true road game for LSU, and Syracuse being undefeated early at home, and that paid off in that one. So a nice, I'll say 1-0 because I said the other players were leans, but Syracuse won easily, and a nice 3-0 day for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're getting out the brooms. We had a nice sweep yesterday. That's what we're trying to do every day. We'll definitely take that. Syracuse, it was looking a little sweaty, throughout that first half, but their offense kind of picked up throughout that second half. And, it is in the Carrier Dome, and that's kind of, we're going to be doing a lot of home court advantage, especially, in these really tight games where it's, close spreads. We're going to get into a system pretty much in a little bit here, but, leaning toward the home team just for a certain reason, just because – the home crowd plays a big factor in college basketball. So that's a nice win for you. Nice 1-0 day officially for you. Obviously, the Bucks. You had the Bucks and Mavs as leans. They also did cover. So unofficially, nice 3-0 day for you. So look at that. We have a nice day nice day for us as well yesterday. So getting into today first, I obviously want to talk about that Champions League parlay that is on Twitter right now. It is all the games are officially. For the afternoon, obviously, all start at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, 12 p.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're just taking three teams to win here. Sociedad, Arsenal, and Braga all on the money line, and then Copenhagen, they're not losing by 3 to Bayern. So we're taking a little bit less juice, plus 497, 4 legs. So you can find that on Twitter. But here are my 3 official plays for today. And we're going first to pretty much, I'd say, one of the games of the day, Tennessee and UNC at North Carolina. And I'm just taking UNC on the money line straight up here, minus 125. That line did go up to minus 130 as I'm checking DraftKings right now. So that line did go up a little bit. I like UNC in this spot. And this is the system that I was talking about. In these kind of close games where, you have two really good teams, right? You have this Tennessee team, very good defensively, one of the sneakier teams in the SEC in terms of, a true contender. They have some tough losses, but, when you look at the losses, right, it's by 4 points to a very, very good Purdue team. Obviously, the number 2 team in the country, and then Kansas by 9. Like, it's the top 2 teams in the country. Like, I'm not disappointed that they lost by single digits to the top 10 teams in the country, but I don't like Tennessee in this spot. Look, they just played 2 top 10 teams, as I said. Now they got to play UNC on the road, even though Tennessee is a little bit better defensively in this spot. This is just a really, really bad spot for this Volunteer team. After, even though after it's been a long week for them, getting the week off for Thanksgiving and everything, now they come back after a week and they got to go in a true road environment. Obviously, most of those games were in the Maui Invitational, so truly a neutral court setting. But now they got to go to a really true road environment to play UNC, and I don't know how they do. I think this is not going to be a good spot for them. I'm taking UNC straight up on the money line here. Tennessee, they're not the greatest team offensively. They do shoot good at the line, and they do not turn over the ball. But when you look at this UNC team, right, and you see the talent that is being led, with Armando Bacot and RJ Davis, that kind of duo, they have Harrison Ingram, they have Cormac Ryan, they have stars. And I think this team is coming back for vengeance after just missing out on the NCAA tournament the previous season with all the off-court issues with Caleb Love and all that whole scandal. This team is not as good defensively, but when you have a guy named Armando Bacot playing basketball for you, you're kind of going to win. So I do like UNC in this spot at home. We're going to be taking a lot of home teams in this spot. True road environments are really, really hard for good road teams. So I like UNC on the money line at minus 125. And then we're going to go to, honestly, one of my favorite games of the day, Colorado versus Colorado State, a true rivalry game. These two programs are really good. I'm taking that over at 148.5. Colorado State right now is currently a 2.5-point favorite, and there is a little bit of juice on that. But, I don't know. I don't know how this Colorado State team does. This is a really bad spot for them. I'm not going to say a bad spot because, obviously they're undefeated and one of the better offensive teams in the country. But, they did just beat, a really good Creighton team in a game where Creighton could not find the basket. They couldn't even hit 50 points. But at the same time, Colorado State, they only hit they didn't even hit 70 either. So, they didn't shoot the ball well. So it was an ugly game for both teams. And I'm not really crediting, Colorado State with such a great win when, Creighton couldn't even shoot the ball well. So, and now they got to go back and play this Colorado team. And obviously Colorado, they're coming off a tough loss a couple back, I believe, during Feast Week when they lost to FSU in overtime, which was a bad loss. Then they bounced back against Iona, and their offense seems to be one of the things that has been carrying them this year. They are 6th in the country in three-pointer percentage. They are 19th in field goal percentage. These two teams can shoot and execute. When you have two teams in the top 20 in field goal percentage, I mean, Colorado State is the number 2 team in the country in terms of field goal percentage. They're hitting 54% of their shots a game. And this line's at 148.5. Obviously, there's a lot of the probably speculation that these teams are not going to be as streaky, but this is a true home game. This is at Colorado State. Colorado State shoots a lot better at home and, not that much travel for both teams. I like this over at 148.5. I think that's way too low. If I did have a second lean, I'd also go with, Colorado State at home just because, we talk about, home court advantage, especially in a true, rivalry game between the two schools. So I do lean Colorado State minus 2.5, but I'm just taking the over. I think this is going to be one of the more exciting games tonight in college basketball. So I'm taking that over at 148.5. And then going over to the final game of the night, and my favorite game of the night in terms of, an unranked versus ranked opponent, I am taking Arkansas plus 4.5. and also sprinkling them on the money line. I think their money line is plus 164, but I'm taking them at plus 4.5 as officially. I think that's minus 112 on DraftKings. I just don't like Duke in this spot. We talk about a ranked team versus an unranked opponent that should be really good. And Arkansas is a better team than what the record has said. Now, when you look at the losses that this team has faced, they lost to UNC Greensboro, and that was a bad loss. But they couldn't shoot the ball in that game. I mean, it was a really, really ugly game for Arkansas. They shot 4 of 23 from 3, 17%. They were barely hitting 50% from the line. They turned over the ball 13 times. Just ugly game. And they lost by 6 at home. You can scratch that one out. The other 2 losses were to a really good Memphis team on a neutral court, and then UNC, who I think is better than Arkansas. So why is Duke favored by 4.5? Arkansas is probably going to cover that. I think so. This is a great spot for Arkansas. Coming back home, they get the rest. Even though it's not as much rest, they do get the rest. They come back home, and now they got to play Duke, obviously, another time. Obviously, it's kind of crazy. They just played UNC, and now they got to play Duke. So this Arkansas slate is incredibly hard, but I do like Arkansas in this spot to cover the 4.5. We talk about Eric Musselman, and, the Muss Bus has always been one of these coaches, right, that, some way, somehow, he'll struggle, his team will struggle, the Razorbacks will struggle, throughout most of the regular season. And then as soon as, March turns, they turn it up a notch, and then all of a sudden you're talking about how Arkansas is a sleeper team for the Elite Eight, and then they make it all the way there. And I think they need a big bounce back win, and I like them in this spot. This is a great win. We talk about a system, unranked home opponents versus ranked road teams, and it's less than 5. This is indicating that I think Arkansas is definitely going to cover. I like them on the money line as well, but I'm also officially taking them at plus 4.5 and minus 112. Those are my 3 plays. I love them today. UNC money line at minus 130 right now. Colorado State over 148.5. I think that's at minus 110. I also like Colorado State at minus 2.5. Then also Arkansas plus 4.5 tonight in that big game, and also sprinkling Arkansas on the money line. Big day for college basketball. Those are my 3 picks. Ari, what are you taking today?
Yeah, so we're both on UNC today. You mentioned, a week off for Tennessee, coming off back-to-back losses to, 2 top teams, Purdue and Kansas. It's a battle of pretty much offense against defense, with UNC averaging 85 points a game and Tennessee allowing like barely over 60 points per game. But yeah, you talked about Baycott, and this is a Tennessee team that usually starts 4 guards, so they're a bit smaller. So I think Baycott can take advantage of that matchup. We saw Edey I think he had like 23 and 10 when they faced off in the Maui Invitational. So not like a huge game, but a solid game. But yeah, it's partially, a week off for Tennessee, 5 days off for UNC. So kind of similar in terms of, days off since their last game. But, home court, I'll take the offense over the defense usually. You can make the argument that defense travels, and so you can make the argument for Tennessee. But yeah, UNC, they're 3-0 at home this year. And yeah, home court is probably the biggest reason why I like UNC here, as well as, Tennessee. It's kind of a buy low spot in a way for Tennessee, coming off, 2 losses to 2 top teams. But, I like the matchup here for UNC, who's generally a bit bigger of a lineup against, a Tennessee team that has 4 guards. RJ Davis should have a pretty good game as well, scoring wise, and then Baycott down low for UNC. So I like UNC here, just straight up on the money line. And then in the NBA, it's more of a spot play here. Clippers coming off a loss to Denver, who was without Jokic, Murray, and Aaron Gordon, which is not a good, obviously a really bad loss to the Clippers. But they're facing the Kings here, who are coming off an emotional win last night on a back-to-back over the Warriors, coming back from 24 points down late in the second quarter. But obviously, it was a tight game, so all the starters played a lot. Fox played 40 minutes. Bones played close to, I think 37 minutes. I don't trust the Clippers enough full game. It's mostly just taking them first half on the money line here with the Kings potentially being a bit tired, coming off an emotional tight win last night. Clippers did not play yesterday, so it's a back-to-back for the Kings, not back-to-back for the Clippers. So I'm just going first half just because I don't trust the Clippers full game enough. I just like them to take advantage of the Kings coming off a back-to-back in a tight game early in the first half and taking them, in the first half money line. So North Carolina full game money line, Clippers first half money line for me tonight in the NBA and in college basketball.
Yeah, I already talked about North Carolina. We already talked about UNC. That's a great look for me. You mentioned, in terms of the matchup down low, Tennessee does like to play a little small ball in terms of starting 4 guards, and that's how they usually get you very defensive, in the lanes, shifty. But, you mentioned how Zach Edey did against this Tennessee team, putting him 23-10, and, Armando Bacot, similar in terms of how they play, inside domination. So I like UNC, on the money line tonight at minus 130. Or I think that's what it climbed to. And then the Clippers, you mentioned the Kings, and I don't want to hear about that Warriors game ever again. But yeah, that's a great look for the Clippers. You mentioned, the Kings are coming in the back-to-back spot, and the Clippers are just starting their first game in their back-to-back, and very emotional game for the Kings. Just somehow winning that game, and I don't like them in this spot. I do like them just like your system, get in, get out in the first half. So just Clippers just to win the first half. I like that as well. Those are Ari's 2 plays. Going back to my 3 plays as well. Also taking UNC on the money line, and then Colorado State over 148.5. That's minus 110 right now. And then I'm also taking leaning toward Colorado State minus 2.5 at home. That's minus 112. And then Arkansas plus 4.5. That's minus 112. And sprinkling the money line at plus 164. All on DraftKings right now. You can find all of these plays posted later on our Twitter down below, AKP Sports Talk. And don't forget, our Champions League parlay is also posted. All those games will be starting in about a few hours now, so don't forget to get those slips in. But that's going to do it for today's episode of AKP Sports Talk. That is Ari. I'm Kurt. We will be back tomorrow, obviously. Thursday Night Football, and oh boy, the Seahawks gauntlet, round 2. Here we go. Seahawks Cowboys. That's going to be we're going to be our best bets for tomorrow's games. Also some more, some more NBA, college basketball, and then obviously getting ready for big championship weekend for college football starting Friday night, heading into the weekend. Don't forget, we have our big weekend coming up, but that's going to do it for this episode. That is Ari. I'm Kura. We will see you guys tomorrow morning.